you'll go through all this, and then here's where you're telling me, share something. This needs to be.
Is that a recent relocation to Davenport? You think it's a recent relocation?
So the data on and a musical share, and this comes you can sit between, but yeah, this is really all this is here.
Sure. Okay.
Good morning. Good morning. Isn't it great out? Yes, we are all so fortunate. My name is Darcy Anderson, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to our lovely, lovely home of love and caring, the Unitarian Universalist Church. We encourage an open-ended search for the meaning in life and a commitment to asking our values shape our actions. We're a pluralistic religion that draws wisdom from many sources. We welcome all people into our beloved community of whatever age, race, class, ethnicity, physical ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or religious background. We welcome especially those worshiping with us for the first time. Guests are welcome to participate in any activity in our community. Welcome team members are wearing green name badges and are ready to answer any questions you may have if you're a visitor or new to this congregation. Pastoral care team members are wearing yellow name badges and are able to talk with you if you have life transitions or in need of assistance. We invite everyone to join us for coffee and snacks in the back at the end of the service for today only. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning. I'm Lori McCullum. I'm here wearing my environmental justice team hat today. And I want to let you know about 3 upcoming events that you're welcome to participate in. First of all, on the 23rd is our next vegetarian potluck. And we always have a great selection of food. And I'm always in a panic the day before because I never know who's going to bring what. So it would really be great if you would let me know if you're interested in bringing a main dish, a side dish, or a salad. The hospitality team always does dessert on the days we do our potluck, so that's always great too. And I've heard from a number of people that they would love it if you would bring a copy of your recipe to share with the group, because even if you're not a vegetarian, you know, it's great to have those extra service things to serve at meals, even if you just do meatless Mondays. So it would be great if you bring a recipe. Secondly, our TerraCycle team, headed by Olivia Dorothy, is going to do a sort of TerraCycle materials on the 30th, back in the community room after service. Grab your coffee, come on up. If we have enough people, it'll only take 20 or 30 minutes. This is a great way for us to keep items out of the landfill and make a little money for the church sometimes. And thirdly, on August the 6th, it's our environmental justice team's week to do the service. We're bringing in a speaker from the UU congregation in Iowa City or Coralville, Sally Hartman, who's spoken here before. She's great. She's talking about how holy waters make us whole. And I'm looking forward to that service. Thank you very much.
Nicely done. Darcy, is this your phone? I didn't want it to distract me later. So, this morning my opening words are by Reverend Lynn Gardner. She serves as a co-minister in Schenectady, New York. Did I say that correct, Tiffany? Schenectady. Thank you. And my New York people are here. Prior to ministry, she ran a multicultural in-home daycare program, and she is grateful to continue and serve families with young children in multi-generational congregations. Her opening words are called Sustaining the Tree of Life. The tree stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. Its fruit was juicy, sweet, and plentiful. The people of the village loved this tree. Children played beneath it and climbed on its lowest branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams into the tree, they were more than likely to come true. People who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships to be nourishing, and elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much, and when breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear the echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Animals loved the tree too. Rabbits lived in burrows under the roots, squirrels and monkeys lived in the branches, and bats and birds flew in to eat the abundant fruit. That tree seemed to buzz with life. One day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. He rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of delicious fruit. "This fruit is incredible," he said. "I would like to have some to sell in the next villages that I visit. Who owns this tree?" "No one owns this tree," replied a villager. "If anything, we belong to it." "Well, then if no one owns this tree, then no one will mind if I pick the fruit," said the merchant, and he began to fill his basket. "I mind," said the villager, "and today I am keeper of the tree." "What do you mean, keeper of the tree?" "Well, we take turns being here with the tree. We can never own it. We are here as protectors, as sustainers." "Well, that's ridiculous. This tree doesn't need you. You can take what you need, take what you want. The tree will continue." But the villager would not and could not be persuaded. "Sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it. Even though we receive much, we are keepers of the tree because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become." "Well," said the merchant, "you may think that this tree is very special, but it still doesn't need you to sit with it. That's preposterous." "Ha," the villager replied. "The tree itself may not need me. But what of others that come by? Just this morning, I sat with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry. Had I not been here, she would have had to carry the weight alone. And this afternoon, a tired couple came by, and they rested with me. They said they had been looking for a place like this. And then an elder came by, and we watched the birds in the branches together. And now you are here. You were confused about what this tree is and how to be with it. Imagine if you had arrived and found nobody here to talk to you. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. Luckily for you, my friend, I am here to let you know that when you take care for the tree of life, it becomes about so much more than just you. And the merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these ideas that felt new and a little bit challenging. And as the sun went down, he picked up his bag and headed out of town, whistling a song that he hadn't thought of in years. And on his way, he shared a smile with each person that he met, and his heart felt strangely light and joyful. And the people of the village, well, they continued to sustain that tree of life, to care for one another, and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude. May it be so for each of us. If you'll please now join me in the lighting of our chalice. The words are in your order of service and up on the screen. In the light of truth
and in the warmth of love, we gather to see, to sustain, and to inspire.
If you'll please join us now, stand if you're willing and or able. They are opening hymn, number 38, something we've not sung in a long time. Morning has broken. So before we greet the holy in our midst by greeting each other, I want to share with you a quick quote that I found from Abraham Joshua Herschel. Our goal should be Our goal should be to live life in radical amazement. Get up in the morning, look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. To be spiritual is to be amazed. So as you greet each other, I challenge you to take time to not only say hello, give hugs, but be amazed that we are here together in this place and on this spiritual journey together. Go forth, introverts. Okay, introverts, I'll save you. Time to sit down. Extroverts, I'm sorry. Ken, we'll bring you up here. No, you're
I
fine.
got caught chatting.
Do you need me to move anything?
Well, I don't want to mess anything up.
You'll be okay. Don't worry about it. You're welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, my goodness. Are we all tired today, or is it just me? No. Just me? That's fair. Oh, I'm totally writing on your stuff.
You know what?
How about I?
Yeah.
Hi, how's it going?
Sorry, Ken is changing all my stuff. Let's just move this over here for right now.
That's a good idea. So I accidentally moved things out of order, so...
No, you just moved it to the end. We're not done yet.
We're not done yet. Okay. Okay. Gale talked to you a little bit about the Tree of Life. And naturally, in my own dorky way, I have to take it to the Norse Tree of Life that contains the 9 realms, Asgard, Midgard, the Bifrost, because who doesn't love a good Thor story, especially with all that golden hair? Yeah, I know, I hear you. Yggdrasil is their Tree of Life, and there have been many stories about that I could not find. Apparently, it's just a tree that everybody lives in, and if you live in it, you know exactly what it is and what you're going to get. So that is exactly how that went. But thanks to Angela Chanou, when my first was born, she gave me a book called Stories from Around the World. And instead of getting a fun comic book Marvel tale of Thor, you're going to get an actual Norse tale of Thor, read to children throughout the world, in Scandinavia, or whoever has the book. So this is the story of Thor's hammer. Thor was the god of thunder. He was a great giant of a god with wild red hair, and when he threw his magic hammer, thunder rolled, lightning flashed, and his hammer flew back to his hand. He loved fighting, feasting, and was always ready for an adventure. He was also the god of law and order. He was usually in a good mood, but he could be quick to anger, and the other gods were very fond of him. But Thor wasn't that bright, and sometimes the other gods made fun of him. Thor woke up one morning and reached for his hammer, but it wasn't there. He sat up, he opened his eyes, and he roared, "Where is my hammer?" The mountains rattled. "I don't know. Somebody took it. We got to read the story and keep going." The mountains rattled, the clouds trembled in the sky. Thor shouted and stormed out looking for his hammer. The other gods were worried there would be no peace in Asgard until his hammer was found. So a quick conference was called, and it was decided that the god Loki should search for the hammer. I know, it doesn't seem like it's going to go well, but I trust you, it has a happy ending. Loki went to the beautiful goddess Freya. He borrowed her magic cloak and flew swiftly to the land of the giants. There, among the mountains covered with ice and snow, he met an enormous frost giant named Therm. "What are you doing here?" Therm shouted. "Well, I am looking for Thor's hammer. Have you seen it?" asked Loki. Therm grinned. His beard crackled with ice. "Well, I stole it," he growled. "I've hidden it deep in the earth, and no one will find it. I will only give it back if Freya marries me." And Loki flew back to Thor and told him the news, and together they went to see Freya. And she said, "Oh no, I will never marry that horrible giant." The other gods came to see what all the noise was about, and they tried to persuade her. But she just screamed and said, "No, no, no, I will not marry him." And then the god Heimdall said, "Well, I've got an idea. We will dress Thor in a white dress like a bride. We will cover his head with a veil, and then he can go marry Therm, pretending to be Freya, and he'll just get his hammer back. And that's simple. What a stupid idea. I won't do it, roared Thor. But the other gods persuaded him to at least give it a try. So they dressed him up. He was covered in beautiful white clothes, veils, and precious jewels. And then they dressed Loki up to look like his maid. And still grumbling, Thor set off with Loki to the land of the giants. Therm welcomed them and invited them into his huge hall where a great wedding feast was readied. With great ceremony, Therm led Thor to the head of the table and sat beside him. "What would you like to eat, my dear?" he asked. Perhaps some salmon, a little slice of roasted ox, whatever you got." Thor was hungry. But keeping his face hidden under the veil, he grabbed and ate 3 whole salmon and a whole roasted ox. And then he drank 6 cups of wine. Therm watched in surprise. "What a splendid appetite you have, my dear," he said fondly, thinking that his new bride would cost him a lot to feed. But Loki was afraid that Therm would guess that there had been something strange about his bride-to-be. So he whispered to Therm, "Freya's been excited about marrying you. She hasn't eaten in 5 days." So Therm smiled with pleasure and raised the veil to give his bride a kiss. And when he saw 2 huge red eyes glaring at him, he jumped back. "Oh, don't worry. Freya just hasn't been able to sleep in 7 nights thinking about you," whispered Loki. Therm, thinking absolutely nothing was wrong, was still delighted that his bride-to-be was so eager to marry him. When the feast was over, Therm called for Thor's hammer to be brought to the hall. He placed it on his bride's knees as a present. Thor then leaped up, threw off his veil, swinging his hammer around, and shouted, "I am Thor, and this is my hammer. You are Thor." And then they had to fight their way out, and that's a whole lot of fighting there to tell in a little kid's story, so I'm not gonna read that. Laughing that the trick had worked and trailing his ruined bridal clothing behind him, Thor led Loki back to the other gods. He showed them that he had his precious hammer, and no one would dare steal it again. It's a little violent, actually. There's a whole paragraph on the fight between Thor and the Frost Giants, which I found to be interesting that it would be in a children's tale. But I like that the Tree of Life has been present in a lot of different stories and has taken on many different tones. And we're going to go downstairs now, and I think we're going to write our own stories.
Good morning. My name is Joanne Macheco, and I'm a member of the pastoral care team. As we gathered together today, we pause to reflect on what lies in our hearts. In this time of sharing, we take a moment to recognize our personal joys and sorrows, and to read from the book of joys and sorrows, those personal life events you have chosen to share. There are none written in the book today. Are there any on YouTube? No. Okay. And so although no one has shared in the book today, we acknowledge each person's joy and sorrow. So now enter into a meditation. And after the last reading, you'll be invited to come forward and light a candle. Let us become aware of the energy that brings us together in beloved community. As we share the time of silent meditation, may we open our minds and hearts to a place of quiet, to a silent prayer for the healing of pain and the comfort of love. For what has been shared and for what remains in the quiet sanctuary of our hearts, we are grateful. We close our meditation with the words of Mary Oliver in her poem, When I Am Among the Trees. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. It's simple, they say, and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine.
It's all in the book now, so I had to get to the right spot. I'm not in the right spot, I'm sorry. Oh, so this congregation is a theologically diverse religious community with membership open to all who accord with our principles, mission, and vision. Our congregation is entirely self-governed by the democratic process. One of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all of the financial support for our many ministries from among ourselves. Generosity is therefore one of the spiritual values as we recognize as central to our personal and our institutional well-being. And this month we are sharing the plate with the environmental justice. And as the plate passes you, please be as generous as you can. For all the gifts of time and treasure that you give to this congregation, with sincere gratitude, we thank you. So good morning. I have not formally introduced myself. For those of you who have never been here before, my name is Gale Springer. I am a member of this church. I'm also the leader of what is called the Earth-Based Traditions team here in this church. We are a team that believes in all earth-related religions: paganism, Wicca, Druidism, heathen, you name it. We are there for you. So, some of you also don't know my background. If you were here on Father's Day, you heard that my dad was in the Navy. We moved around a lot. And back in 1984, my family lived down in Middleton, Iowa, just outside of Burlington. We were living, he was working on the Army ammunition plant, and we were living in an old farmhouse. And in the backyard of that farmhouse was this huger than life, to me, weeping willow tree. You've seen them, those huge trees with the leaves that just come down and envelop everything. That tree was my best friend, my absolute best friend. I spent so many days, my evenings, moonlit nights under that beautiful canopy of the branches and the leaves. And this was my spot where I went to read. A place where my siblings and I, we would pull out a blanket, we would play games. I'd scare my sister with the butterflies. You know, that's what sisters are for, right? For me, this tree was one place to just be, to enjoy everything around me. It was some place where I could tell my secrets. Told that tree about the first time I was kissed. Told that tree about all my doubts and fears about being the new kid in school and everything that was going on in my teenage world, all my angst and all my victories. So in the summer of 1986, right after I graduated school, just before I went off to live with my ailing grandfather up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, that tree was the last thing that I hugged. And I cried. And I still, to this day, miss that tree so very much. So I was living with my grandfather, and unfortunately in 1988, my grandfather passed away. So I only had a couple of years with him. I spent the next couple of years moving around from state to state, trying to just figure out who and what I wanted to be. And at one point, I ended up out in California, where I found another super special tree, a redwood tree. And if you've never seen or been near a redwood tree, I highly recommend you find a way to do so. Those trees are so large, so huge. They are larger than life itself. And if you get into the redwood forest, oh my God, I was lost for days. I was camping. I was everything in the redwood that I could do. But there was one tree in particular that called to me, that I sat with. I told all my fears about all this moving around to. And just sitting there and seeing everything above me helped me put into perspective what I was looking for. It showed me how small I really am in this world. And that's not a bad thing. More importantly, it showed me how I needed to find something in my life to help me put into practice what my heart and my soul were screaming out for. So, while sitting with my tree, I decided I was going to move back to La Crosse, Wisconsin and go to college. 1990, I made that move. Here I am. I'm 22 years old, finally going to college. I also decided to leave the Catholic Church, which is a story for a whole other day. But after some soul searching, I decided I was going to definitely have to do a lot of research into many different religions to help me figure out what that spiritual path was going to be for me, what is going to help be best for me. Now, during this time, I discovered that my economics professor happened to be a member of the Winnebago Nation. Well, they're now known as the Ho-Chunk Nation in Wisconsin. If anybody's been up to the Dells, you know the Ho-Chunk Nation. And I don't remember how the conversation came to be, but one day he got to talking to us about something that he was taught as a child. It's called the seventh generation principle, which is taught to many Native Americans. So the seventh generation principle says that in every decision, be it personal, governmental, corporate, we must consider how it will affect our descendants 7 generations into the future, so that the pristine sky, the fields, the mountains, they will still be there for them to enjoy. This is something that is clearly not embraced by most governments and corporations in the world today. I mean, when was the last time that you thought about who's coming along 7 generations from now? Most of us just think to our children and our grandchildren. It taught me that long before environmentalists got us thinking about our carbon footprint and sustainability, these indigenous people lived in balance with the world around them. And this spoke to me. And shortly after learning about this, I was introduced to who is now my absolute best friend. Her name is Kirsta, and she was a Wiccan priestess. And she taught me about Wicca. And as I started to learn, I could feel my soul, my heart, my every fiber in my being tell me that this was my path. I am a Wiccan, a pagan, a believer of the earth. I finally understood what was inside of me, reaching out, trying to find since I was a child, since I fell in love with trees. Everywhere I've been in love with trees. I've been hugging on them. So for many years, I practiced my Wiccan faith and what's called a solo practitioner. This was after I moved away from my best friend, Kirsta, and I found a different path. I found a marriage, I found children, but I still remained true to my Wiccan path. And when I got a divorce, I still wanted my Wiccan path, but I also needed a community that embraced me, my beliefs, but also offered me a place where I could feel like I was a contributing partner in their community, as well as a place where I could bring my children so that they could learn about spirituality without one specific dogma being shoved down their throat, basically. And so I started researching again. Didn't take me long. It took me 1 week. I found the UUCQC. Yeah, woo! That first day I came in here, and I heard, it was Jay at the time, talk about Christianity, Buddhism, and Wicca, all in the same reflection. And I was like, what? You can do that? And I was hooked. And then I got introduced to the 7 principles. And oh my God, my heart sang with happiness. Our 7th principle: respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. To me, this is such a glorious statement. It rings true all the way down to the deepest part of my soul, and it reminded me of that discussion from my professor that pushed me to find Wicca. The 7th principle reminds us to celebrate the sacred circle of life. It reminds us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Now, to me, the 7th principle is not only that reminder of our responsibility to our environment, but after all the years I've been here, I have discovered it is also our Unitarian Universalist way of speaking to more than the environment. It is a way of coming to fully embrace something that is greater than ourselves, the interdependent web, expressed as the spirit of life, the ground of all being, the oneness of all existence, the community forming power, the process of life, the creative force. It can help us develop that social understanding of ourselves with ourselves that our culture so desperately needs. Earlier this morning, when we were doing the greeting the holy in our midst, I challenged you to take time to be amazed that we are here together. Every day, we need to take time to remember that together we weave into that interdependent web of existence. During the week, we live our lives, we live our sorry, I'm so excited about this. We weave our little webs with our coworkers, with our friends, with our neighbors. And then we come back here and we share our experiences. We share a little bit of ourselves with each other. We weave ourselves into each other's existence. That was made so aware to me. I always knew it was there. But it really hit home when I did the Father's Day service. And I had a few people say things to me, and I went home and I just bawled because I didn't realize how much each and every one of you means to me. It made me realize what my words can mean to any one of you at any time. So when we come together here in this sanctuary, I feel like we are making time to consider how it will affect our descendants. We are the people of the village. We continue to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another, to share our gifts with grace and with gratitude. Please make that so. And aho. I don't have a lot to say today, and I am grateful for every single person in this building, every single person watching online, every single person who has been here, will be here again, and will come in the future. With that, I would love to sing my absolute favorite hymn, if you don't mind, number 1064. Please rise if you're willing and able, and sing loud, sing proud, Blue Boat Home, number 1064 in the blue hymnal. That was my generation, by the way, that ran up here and made me cry. Let's go ahead and extinguish our chalice. The words are in the order of service and on the screen. Until we are together again. You can sit down, you don't have to stand. Before I do my closing words, we have a town hall afterwards, right? Okay, so there is a town hall afterwards, about 15 minutes after. Don't forget. So, okay, coffee will, thank you. Coffee will be brought up here. So don't go anywhere. Stick around, let's chat. So the closing words I wish to share are called the Four Element Blessing by Eric Williams. May the firmness of the earth be yours. May the flow of the water be yours. May the freedom of the air be yours. May the fierceness of the fire be yours. May all the gifts of this life, the below and the above, be with you now and remain with you always. So mote it be. And in the words of my lovely Wiccan friends and pagan friends, merry meet, merry part, merry meet again.